Arsenal statistically have been the best team in the league this season. They've scored the most goals, but it's their defensive statistic where they've excelled in nearly every aspect. It has been unbelievable. They have the best defense in the world right now, and they probably are statistically the most complete team in the league. And they've just got an immense win over Brighton. They ended Manchester City's scoring streak. Their defense sort of seems unstoppable right now. And if Arsenal win the league, it will be due to their defence and how good it's been. It's almost given them that stability in big games. They're now, beating Manchester City, which is something they didn't achieve last season. In big games, they're better because of their defence. When they go a goal up, maybe they're more confident and mentally better because of that defence. I don't know, but they just look unbelievable. It makes me jealous as a Manchester United fan because how well they're set up structurally is crazy. Manchester United have conceded the most shots in 2024. They're an absolute mess. And then you see Arsenal and you think of the cheating. It feels like they had 20 men behind the ball because if you look at the Brighton game, Brighton is such a well-coached team. They're really good at finding space, creating space. And Brighton couldn't find space because Arsenal was structurally set up, and Mikel Arteta deserves a lot of credit for this, so well that actually Brighton couldn't do anything. They couldn't find space because Arsenal was so well set up, and then when they did find space, Gabriel's there, block, tackle, Saliba's there just dribbling out and doing turns in his box. He's that comfortable on the ball. Gabriel was there putting a tackle in. And, they've been unbelievable this season, that pairing. But also Ben White, also Declan Rice, they deserve a lot of credit. And as you can see with some of the statistics on my screen, 5 clean sheets in a row, 6 clean sheets in the last 8, lowest XG conceded, lowest least shots conceded, lowest expected threat against, least goals conceded, most clean sheets, 4 goals conceded in 2024, and it's April. Ridiculous how good they've been in 2024. Only 11 goals conceded in 16 away games this season. Imagine how hard it is going away. 11 goals in 16 away games, 4 goals conceded in 2024. To put into context, Manchester City have conceded 10, Liverpool have conceded 11, just to show how defensively solid they've been. And they've played Manchester City and they've played Liverpool in 2024. They've played unbelievably difficult games. But you also look at the metrics. If you look at opposition deep entries, opposition penalty box shots, yes, Manchester City are up there, but Arsenal are above Manchester City in both metrics. Arsenal are the best team in the world right now at possession. They are top of every single metric, every single statistic. And we're going to talk about why that is in a second. We're going to explain that and do a bit more analysis on the individuals in a second, why Arsenal can win the league and the change in that. But their strong defensive shape is unbelievable, how Mikel Arteta sets them up, their rest defence, but also the individual IQ and quality of their players to read the game. And when they concede goals, it's individual brilliance or just a silly mistake. It's not really that they're being broken down. They're very rarely broken down. And one thing I've noticed, and one thing they maybe have over Liverpool and Manchester City right now, who've had a few injuries in defence, is consistency. Ben White has to be involved in those Saliba, Gabriel discussions. Everyone keeps talking about Gabriel and Saliba, but Ben White has been immense. Declan Rice has been immense. And they've started 17 games together. And if you look at just general statistics, we throw it back to the Manchester City game, which I think highlighted the maturity and improvement in Arsenal's defence this season. 57 game scoring streak they ended. They also ended Luton Town's 18 game scoring streak. Even the most informed scoring teams with the best players, like Manchester City, Haaland, are struggling. You look at this here, only 3 sides have kept 2 clean sheets in a single Premier League season against City. Only 2 other sides, sorry. Arsenal, United, Crystal Palace. They are the new team. They're the only team that have got 2 clean sheets against Man City this season. 2 clean sheets against Man City this season when they conceded 3 and 4 to Man City last season. Erling Haaland, who broke the goal record, couldn't even have a shot on target in 3 games against Arsenal this season. 3 games he's been in Saliba's pocket. I could show you Saliba and Gabriel SofaStore stats from that game alone, but that's a bit boring. But you even look at things like this Brighton game. Brighton had an XG of 0.55 and expected threat of 0.488 compared to Arsenal's 4.06. You look at just how much better Arsenal got in big games. This is what I was trying to show you. Last season, they conceded 7 goals to Man City. This season in the Premier League, they conceded none. If you count the Community Shield, they conceded 1. But basically, if you look at the Premier League, they conceded no goals compared to 7 goals to Man City last year. And the reason Arsenal in the title race, and the reason Arsenal are up there with Liverpool and Manchester City this season is because of how defensively good they've been. They've been great in midfield, they've been great in attack. But everyone was saying Arsenal's going to drop off. If you look at the statistics, if you look at the odds, everyone still thinks it's going to be Man City or Liverpool that win the league, and Arsenal will drop off. But the reason Arsenal can compete and beat these big boys, they've beaten Liverpool, they've beaten Manchester City, they're unbeaten against those big sides by the FA Cup, is because their defence is so good that I think Arsenal are so much better in big games. I think Arsenal are the favourites versus Bayern Munich. Arsenal can win the league. Arsenal are as good as Manchester City and Liverpool, and statistically even better. And their defence has been a massive part of that. And when I say defence, I mean Declan Rice as well. Declan Rice is an interception monster. You know, if you actually look at the FBrest statistics for William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes, they're low. And the reason they're low, you know, if we're talking about Gabriel Magalhaes and William Saliba being this brilliant defensive pairing, why are their tackle numbers low? Why are their block numbers low? That's because Declan Rice is so good that they don't have crazy amounts of defending to do. But when they do have to defend, Gabriel Magalhaes and Saliba do it so well. Declan Rice, his 100 million has been a big part of that. People will talk about Saliba and they'll talk about Gabriel and how great they've been, but the 100 million on Declan Rice is one of the main reasons that Arsenal is structurally so much better, because of his awareness to cut out passing lanes, because of the defensive coverage he gives, because Arsenal can now cover more ground, and he's much more mobile than Thomas Partey. It's another big reason. Arsenal were great last season. They played great football and they scored goals, but Arsenal this season look like a title-winning side. They look like a side that can be champions because of the structure, the stability, their ability to compete in big games and shut out Manchester City, shut out Haaland in 3 games this season. The growth in their defence is unbelievable. And Arteta deserves credit, individual players deserve credit, and they've got probably the hardest run of fixtures now. Out of all the teams in the title race, Arsenal have the hardest run of fixtures. They've got 2 games against Bayern, who Bayern defensively have been a mess, but going forward, you know, Sane, Kane have been unbelievable. I think they can shut Bayern out. If they can shut Bayern out, that says a lot, because Harry Kane loves to score against Arsenal. Aston Villa, although they got battered to Manchester City, they heavily rotated versus Man City. That's a difficult game. Wolves have been quite good this season. They just got robbed versus West Ham, but Wolves, you know, beat Chelsea 4-2. I know Chelsea have been great. Chelsea always gives Arsenal a difficult game. You never know what you're going to get when Arsenal play Chelsea. And Tottenham, they're going to be up for it. They're not going to want to watch Arsenal win the league. They've got all these difficult fixtures coming up. But Arsenal will almost go in with confidence because they know their defence can probably keep a clean sheet in maybe 4 out of 6 of those fixtures, I'd say. They've kept 5 clean sheets in a row. They know if they go 1-0 up, they don't need to panic. Because they know the defence is fine. They've got the toughest games coming up. And if I talk about Arsenal, I talk about the defence and why it's so good. One thing they do is consistent channel coverage. Their ability to cover every single channel to stop the runners and maintain that sort of diagonal compactness makes them so hard to break down. That's something that I've noticed. Maybe I should get pictures and examples of that and do a further in-depth video if that's something you guys want to see. The ability to close down space quickly and cover ground. All of their team are athletic monsters. Kai Havertz even playing an attack, pressing, athletic monster, covering so much ground. The fitness and athleticism levels of that squad is unbelievable. And to compete in the Premier League, and Pep Guardiola told Ten Hag his biggest mistake in his first season was underestimating the physicality and intensity of the Premier League. If you want to win the Premier League, you've got to be fit, and you've got that Arsenal. Positional awareness and rest defence is the best in the world right now. Players are so positionally aware and they've got the IQ, but credit to Mikel Arteta for setting them up out of possession. Declan Rice, but every player plays a role defensively. You know, we've been, as United fans, we've been sort of saying, why isn't Rashford tracking back? Every single Arsenal player is putting in a shift defensively. The work rate of the players is incredible. But let's talk about the individuals, because I don't want to make this video too long. Arsenal, Saliba, we know how important he was because we saw how Arsenal dropped off and the title slipped out of the hands when Saliba was out. I also want to add that you haven't even seen Jurriën Timber, who I thought would be signing of the season in August, obviously before he got injured. He's going to be a vital part of this Arsenal team. But with Saliba, you've got one of the best players in the world in possession. He is press resistant. Brighton are one of the best pressing sides, and he was dribbling the ball around his own box. He's that comfortable in possession. He's that composed. He's that mature. He can break the lines. He can progress play. He's so important to Arsenal's build-up. So is David Raya. That helps Arsenal even in attack. Weirdly, Saliba helps Arsenal move the ball quicker in midfield, get the ball up the pitch more, and move the ball faster in attack. He can break the lines. He can play the ball out from the back well. He's also an athletic monster. I saw this thread once last year on the biomechanics of William Saliba. He's just got everything in terms of like the physique of the ideal footballer, the height, the strength, the mobility, the agileness, the pace. He's so athletically good that he's almost faster and stronger than every single player, which means he excels in those 1v1 situations. Very few players beat him 1v1, which means he can defend such large spaces. And Arsenal, they attack a lot. I know they're part of Bus versus Manchester City, but they attack a lot. And it's fine because Saliba is very comfortable at covering those large spaces and closing down defenders quickly. He's so athletically good, but also he's got unbelievable awareness, unbelievable anticipation, which works well because you've got Gabriel that's quite an aggressive defender that shuts people down, and you've got William Saliba that will kind of be aware and anticipate the surroundings. If Gabriel moves to shut this player down, William Saliba will position himself to make sure that there's no spaces that's going to open up, which is very smart. And obviously where he excels is really on the ball, is passing. I think, Gabriel's the aggressive guy that shuts people down, and William Saliba is the one that deals with the large ground coverage, the 1v1s, anticipates the game well, adds the calmness, but helps moves out the back. He's so good on the ball. I think, Gabriel is that aggressive box defender. He's always scoring goals from set pieces, but he does not give opponents time. He's got that. He reminds me a bit of Vidic in the sense of, he would basically break his arm and his leg to block the ball, to stop the ball going in. As soon as the defender gets the ball, he is there with the tackle, he is there with the block. You see him celebrating that block with Saliba. He is there beating them down. And again, I think he eats up ground like Saliba. They're very good at and very comfortable at defending large spaces. But because Arsenal's other players are so positionally aware, they've all got their channels to defend and they do that well. He tackles, he blocks, he puts his body line. He's got that warrior mentality. And I think he's been as good as Saliba this season. I think in 2024, you could argue he's been better than Saliba. I think Saliba's more aesthetically pleasing because of how good he's on the ball. But I think Gabriel's been as good as Saliba. And Connor McMarama said his name wrong. Can't pronounce certain words at the moment. Said this perfectly. The reason Arsenal are in the title race has got as much to do with their hard-as-nails defence. Has got so much to do with the hard-as-nails defence. All around Arsenal have been good, but their attack started the season a little bit slow. Their defence has been on it all season. They deserve a lot of credit. If Arsenal win their first league title in 2 decades, they deserve a lot of credit. And I said this in my match reaction, but Rob Edwards after the Luton game the other day summed up their defence and said the defence has everything, haven't they? Physicality, speed, power, but also they're very well coached and obviously understand the game. They've got such power and athleticism. They're big reasons why they separate teams. The players themselves are powerful. They're athletically good, as we've discussed. But as Robert Edwards says, they understand the game well. They've both got really good IQs and they're well coached. And one other thing they have is the mentality. And Mikel Arteta said this on this defence. Really good because that means our collective organisation is very strong, but as well the desire and love for defending from the players is there. It has to be there. You cannot do that. You saw the reaction from Gabriel Magalhaes, when he got that block right at the end to keep the clean sheet. Even though they're 3-0 up, they concede it's not the end of the world. He fought for that clean sheet. That's nothing to do with me. That's the spirit of the team. And what Arsenal have is the mentality. They've got the players that have the athleticism and the ability. They've got the coach that's setting them up right, and they've got the mentality. And that is what you need. And Arsenal's defence could win them the league. Liverpool need to drop points. Maybe Man United will be doing you a favour against Liverpool later today. Although you might be watching this video after that game. And I could look like an idiot right now. And we could concede 7 goals again. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But anyway, hope you enjoyed today's video. Please hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. See you next time. Bye.